Tape Deck Media.
See you at the party, Richter!
Hello, and welcome to See You at the Potty, Richter. My name is Chris Chapman, and joining me as always are my co-hosts Aaron Frescus.
Hello.
And Joseph Beck Castro.
Hello, cutie pies.
And today we are going to continue covering Arnold's 2003 sequel robot vehicle? No, I'm just not as good at that as Joe is. Yeah.
Living organism or cybernetic tissue, and what is it?
Living organism over cybernetic.
Living tissue over...
living tissue over a cybernetic...
Endoskeleton.
Exoskeleton. Or endoskeleton, yeah. That's
yeah.
Right. Okay, anyway.
You screwed me up, yeah.
It's a real fucked up vehicle. Anyway, we are covering the production. If you listen to last episode, you are all caught up on who owns the rights to what, probably, if you remember. And now we're going to get into the actual pre-production of the movie, meaning like script stuff and casting stuff a little bit and director stuff, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, Aaron's going to tell us some stuff, so I'm going to throw it over to him.
Yeah, all right. So, by the way, I feel like this one, because I'm pretty much covering everything that took place in the 90s for these two, for James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger, is possibly going to be longer than the Terminator 2 episode, but we'll see. Anyway, so we're going to travel back in time once again to pick up where we left off, which was spring of 1998. What a dramatic few months it was. So many exciting events happening here in the U.S. for us to, just get jiggy with. Like, who could forget our third horniest president, Bill Clinton, being involved in a salacious scandal after he commander-in-chiefed all over Monica Lewinsky's dress? Or how about, by the way, if you're wondering the first two horny presidents, I'd say JFK and Grover Cleveland, I guess.
I was wondering how you were spelling commander, but then you said the other stuff, so I was like, okay, I get it.
I'd put Jefferson in there.
Jefferson?
That's probably true. Yeah.
Erica, for some reason, mentioned Nixon. I was like, what? Nixon seems like he was married but still a virgin. So, like, how is Nixon? She was just like, because it would be funny. Imagine him like, oh, that's what our Nixon likes.
Yeah, like, gross.
Okay. Or moving on. So, other events, like how about Major League Baseball pitcher David Wells becoming the first New York Yankee player since Don Larson to throw a perfect game, which is 27 batters up, 27 batters down. Fun fact, he supposedly accomplished this while hung over after becoming the first Yankees player since Babe Ruth to polish off 27 hot dogs and 27 beers the night before. Yeah. And you need to look up David Wells because that makes it way funnier once you see a picture of him.
They call that a no-shitter. Sorry.
Part of
Yes, I actually just looked this up recently. He told Bryant Gumbel in 2001 he was hungover, called it a raging, skull-rattling hangover.
Yes, I read that last night.
That's funny.
He also said that, which apparently wasn't possibly not true, but he said that he was hanging out with like some SNL people till like 4 a.m. And he specifically named Jimmy Fallon and I think Seth Meyers, but they weren't on SNL yet. So anyway, moving on. And then we go to the other important event of 1998. Yeah, where we have Andrew Vajna and Mario Kassar, who gained full control of the Terminator franchise after buying back 50% of the rights that were auctioned off when Mario Kassar basically bankrupted their first company, Coralco Pictures. And it was mostly Mario Kassar, because like Andrew Vajna had left.
Okay, I was about to ask.
Yeah, had left. He didn't agree with the way Mario Kassar, they were spending money, and so he left, and Mario Kassar was like nosedived it, basically.
But then he wanted to get back into business with him to do the Terminator movie?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that Andrew Vajna was mostly the one that took charge as far as getting the rights back, and I don't know how Mario Kassar convinced him to get back with him, but one of the things that tanked Coralco was Cutthroat Island, which I've never seen. I've always wanted to watch it. I know it's supposed to be really,
Is that
really...
the Billy Zane movie?
No, that's the pirate movie with Gina Davis and I think Matthew Modine's in it.
Oh.
And it was like one of the biggest bombs ever, apparently.
Okay.
I thought it was a Disney
that's
movie,
kind of what
but
I was. That's what I was going to ask. Is like, what was the last movie they made? What was the thing that like?
Cutthroat Island was I think the last one.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the former Coralco boys then purchased the other 50% of the rights from Gale and Hurd before starting up a new company, C2 Pictures, which I looked up and is actually pronounced Say2 Pictures. That is a joke, not true. It's just anyway.
Oh.
So anyway, the C2 crew, which they are now went by according to me and only me, finally had the Terminator franchise back, but immediately encountered their first problem, pissing off James Cameron. And not just any James Cameron, because a few days prior to the C2 crew obtaining the Terminator rights, the 70th annual Academy Awards had taken place, with Titanic winning 11 of its 14 nominations, which oddly enough, the other 3 were won by Captain Ron, which is good for that movie, because it's a good movie. Anyway. Yes, but suddenly the C2 crew hadn't just pissed off regular old happy-go-lucky Jimmy Cameron. Nope. They'd angered 3-time Academy Award winner James Francis Cameron. Yeah. By the way, do you think anyone has ever described James Cameron as happy-go-lucky?
No.
That would be like describing me as like cheery or like full-haired or something like that, you know?
Luxuriously haired. Yeah.
He's got a sweet head of hair on him.
What did Titanic win? Like, did he win director?
He won director. It won Best Picture. It won director, picture. He won 3. Oh, he won for editing.
Oh, okay.
The 2 that it lost, the 2 out of the 3 were Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and then they won everything else. I don't remember what the last one was. But yeah, they won which is crazy because they beat with the noir movie with Kim Basinger. L.A. Confidential. Yes. Like, they beat them in a bunch of categories. I think Kim Basinger actually won beat Kate Winslet out for, yeah, she did, for Best Actress, yeah. And, which is, I don't know, those costumes in Titanic were awesome. I'm pretty sure they won for that, but they also beat out L.A. Confidential, which, again, it's just a different era of costumes, but yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is just me speculating, but I'd say any chance that the C2 crew had of getting Jim Cameron to direct probably went out the window the second that fucking dork proclaimed himself king of the world during his acceptance speech of the Oscars.
I forgot about that.
He definitely did that.
Yep.
And then to make matters worse, as a result of the fractured relationship with James Cameron, they were now at risk of losing Arnold Schwarzenegger due to Jimmy Cams and Arnold being longtime buddies. Plus, I have no doubt that Arnold recognizes how good of a director James Cameron is, as well as, as we kind of mentioned before, just really seeming to understand Arnold's strengths as an actor, and I'm sure his weaknesses as well. But yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was just imagining a 90-year-old James Cameron throwing his Oscar into the ocean.
Oh, just dropping it in there.
So, Kate Winslet, Best Supporting Actress, Gloria Stewart, who's the old lady, and then Best Makeup. Those were the 3 that it didn't win.
Well, who won makeup?
Damn.
Well, I was just looking on the Titanic thing.
Yeah, if you go on IMDb, it doesn't list the nominees. I had to actually go and look stuff up, look up on the Oscars website or whatever.
When did The Fifth Element come out? Was that 98?
Men in Black.
Oh,
Men in Black. Oh,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't know how you're gonna beat that movie in that particular category.
Well, especially for makeup, the makeup was fine on Titanic, but what are you going to make him blue? He needs to be bluer, not blue enough. I don't know. They're dying. Anyway, okay, and going back to it, speaking of their friendship, Jim Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger, there was an interesting quote in 2003, in a 2003 article it's called, it's Knight Ridder magazine, and it's because it's pronounced, it's spelled Knight Ridder newspaper. It's spelled Ridder, so Knight Ridder. I don't know. Cool. But yeah, there's a quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Knight Ridder about around the time of Terminator 3, with Arnold mentioning that he suggested that he and James Cameron should buy the rights, like the Terminator rights, when they were up for auction. With him saying, quote, "But Jim said that was what the studios were for. And since he had a deal with 20th Century Fox, he let them handle it. Only later did I learn they were making these ridiculous lowball offers, like $750,000. We could have owned this ourselves,
Jesus.
but Jim didn't want to be in that business."
Holy crap.
Yeah, which I know Arnold can kind of exaggerate from time to time when he's talking about stuff, but that kind of seems to check out with everything else that we've talked about.
Yeah, what you said last episode where they were kind of nervous after Titanic because they spent so much money.
Because I read in a Variety article that the bids for the rights, and I think it was, they could be placed in increments of $250,000. And so with Fox already nervous about Titanic, it definitely makes that lowball part make sense. They're like, we're not going to go as low as we can at 250. Yeah. We're just going to, let's go to 750. At least that way it seems like we're kind of trying.
Yeah.
And then what Arnold said about James Cameron not wanting to be, quote, be in the business makes sense as well. That's why he made the deal with Fox in the first place. Although it kind of seems like Cameron might have put a little too much faith in Fox for to take care of it for him, obviously.
That's like an Arrested Development scene. He's like, "Don't worry, my buddies at Fox are going to take care of it." They didn't.
Ron Howard coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Ron Howard voice. They would not.
Yes. That and trusting his friends, the Caracol boys, was probably two little mistakes he made. But which again, I'm not saying they did or didn't do because we don't know for sure. But it's definitely the way that Oscar winner James Cameron feels about that situation.
Excuse me, 3-time Oscar winner.
Yeah, sorry, 3-time Oscar winner. Actually, more probably from that at the time. 3-time Oscar winner. I think he might have more from Avatar. Mm-hmm. Okay, so apparently a different deal James Cameron had with Fox also fell through this time, which was for Planet of the Apes.
Ooh.
And I apologize for the sidetrack.
I was just going to say that's interesting to think about a James Cameron Planet of the Apes instead of Tim Burton.
Okay, I'm going to forget to say this, but yes, and he kind of criticized in an interview that I read earlier today, he kind of criticized Tim Burton's one. And basically said that he didn't imply, he said that he wasn't the right director for the one that was made because from what I read, and I skimmed through it. But from what I read, he basically said that, that was the only movie of Tim Burton. He loves Tim Burton, but that was the only movie of his that he didn't like. And it just didn't have, which makes sense because it's a different kind of movie than what he usually makes.
Yeah, it didn't feel particularly Tim Burton-y. I think the most Tim Burton thing about it was all the practical makeup effects of the ape stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was kind of just a generic action movie.
Yeah, yeah. So that make I don't know who would have been better in it, but anyway. So yeah, I apologize for the sidetrack, but the Planet of the Apes thing got me thinking, what other films from James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger went unmade during the 90s when they were both at the height of their fame? Mm-hmm. Well, I looked them up. So I want to take a few minutes, go over it, because there are some pretty interesting ones in there, and this episode isn't taking long enough already. So we'll start in 1990 with James Cameron. What?
Okay. No, I wasn't sure how to react because I wasn't sure if you were going to give me a fake list of joke movies or an actual list of real movies.
This is real movies. But there's some in here that I'm like, holy shit. So, especially when we get to Arnold. But okay, we start in 1990 with James Cameron, who apparently attempted to buy the rights to the Michael Crichton's book Jurassic Park, but was beaten to it by Steven Spielberg, who'd purchased them a few hours before.
Did you say hours?
Yes, few hours before.
Holy shit!
Wow.
So James Cameron later admitted after seeing Jurassic Park that Spielberg was the right person to direct it because he'd made a more accessible, family-friendly film. Yeah. With Cameron saying that his version of the film would have been, quote, gone further, nastier, much nastier.
Yeah. Yeah. I can kind of imagine a Cameron movie. It's way more of a horror. It's way more aliens.
Exactly.
And way less he's not focused at all on the awe of the majesty of the dinosaurs.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Yes, exactly. So, he said that would have been unfair to exclude younger audiences because kids love dinosaurs. And he would have, quote, what Chris said, he would have said or made, quote, aliens with dinosaurs.
Okay.
Which I just really want to see now because that movie would have been probably fucking awesome.
Yeah, it probably would have been.
and I haven't read the book in a few years, but I don't know if you guys have, but it sounds like the two versions are kind of like a mixture. Like the book's kind of like a mixture between those two versions.
Got it. Goes harder than Spielberg's, but not quite as hard as Aliens.
Yeah, it's a little more. It's a little more violent than Spielberg's, and a little more graphic. But it's not as alien-y as James Cameron's. So anyway, moving into 1991, still working on the movies. Chris Claremont, who's a comic book writer, correct?
Yeah, he's like the premier X-Men writer for like the entire 80s. He's like the reason X-Men was the number one selling book in comics. Okay,
so he didn't like come up with them though, right? He just like was a writer. He didn't like
No, he didn't create them.
Yes.
X-Men came out in the 60s. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. It did all right. It actually ended because the books weren't selling enough. He brought it back in basically the late 70s into the early 80s. Like I said, Chris Claremont did, and he turned it into like the powerhouse, like Marvel's.
When we were watching, seller. Or when we were like when it was like super big in the early 90s, was that still Chris Claremont?
It wasn't anymore, but it was the reason it was so popular was because of Chris Claremont. Chris Claremont got kicked off the book in like the very late 80s.
Why would you kick him off the book if he's?
I don't know.
Because I have no making clue. Bad decisions in the 90s, like in the.
Yeah, I mean they kind of always make bad decisions. Like they're not the smartest people when it comes. Like they've done a decent job in more recent decades, but yeah, they just got. They wanted to bring a new creative team on, and he wanted look. So like you know how you always talk about the X-Men TV show and how like complicated it is and how soap opera-y it is. That all comes from Claremont.
The cartoon, right?
Yeah, the cartoon.
Oh, so all those
comes
stories,
from Claremont. All those stories were basically adapted from Claremont stories.
Oh, okay.
Basically everything in the 90s cartoon, practically.
Okay.
And so I think he wanted to keep doing that, and Marvel felt like he was getting like too complicated to. And he was also a little like there was like a.
Is he like the James Cameron of the comic world?
No. I don't think so. But I'm talking out of my ass a little bit here. But he was a little more subversive, I think, than Marvel was comfortable with.
Gotcha.
There was some like LGBT undertones, and the X-Men comics were like really like sexy in the 80s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make it weird. Let's keep going. Okay, so he and Stan Lee met with James Cameron to get Lightstorm, which was James Cameron's production company. They wanted them to produce an X-Men movie, which would have been directed by Catherine Bigelow and starring Bob Hoskins as Wolverine and Angela Bassett as Storm.
I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Hell yeah.
But
hey,
which is
Wolverine in the comics is a short, hairy dude.
Yeah, so he would have been perfect.
Yep, that's casting.
And in that early 90s cartoon, he was also Australian or something like that too.
In the Pride of the X-Men one, yeah.
Yeah. So like you just move him over to English and you got Bob Hoskins right there.
Yep. That's fair.
But apparently that fell apart pretty quickly when Stan Lee brought up Spider-Man, which I guess James Cameron was a huge fan of. By the way, we discussed this during the last episode, but I looked it up, and apparently the villains in James Cameron's Spider-Man movie were supposed to be Sandman, Electro, and Dr. Octopus, who James Cameron wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to play, which we already discussed. But yeah, it just makes me laugh every single time. Just like the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Like I know it's a different writer. Just
listen to me now.
He's yelling at the tentacle.
How are you, dear boy?
Peter takes off his mask like Peter Parker, brilliant but flabby,
but girly. I love that. God, that's so great. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just thinking more like the way James Cameron's going to shoot. Look at you! You can't even control when you're shooting stuff. Come on. Yeah. Anyway. You're shooting like a little teenager.
He's trying to do like Peter Parker. Like, all right, action. He's like, Sarah Connor? Arnold. For the last goddamn time, it's Peter Parker. Sarah Connor? Better.
Oh my god.
Okay. So, moving on, we're still in 91, but this is like September of 91. James Cameron also mentioned in a Starlog magazine article that while making Aliens, he talked to Fox about doing another Alien movie, saying that he told the studio that if they could get Ridley Scott to direct Alien 3, that he would direct Alien 4, which would have been awesome, especially after like I finally watched Alien 3 and then Alien Resurrection. I was like, yeah, that would have been way better with like Ridley Scott and James Cameron. But anyway, okay. Next
that would have been some weird. I feel like that would have been some weird ass tonal whiplash, though.
Why? Because those
like
movies
keep
are
flopping back and forth between but like the first Alien versus Aliens are way
it's a
movies.
horror movie and an action movie.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway.
Oh yeah, okay. So this next one we're going to talk about in a different episode, but for a minute in 1994. Arnold seemed interested and was possibly attached to a movie based on the SNL Hans and Franz sketch, which would have been titled Hans and Franz, The Girly Man Dilemma, and was co-written by Robert Smigel and Conan O'Brien, in addition to, Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon. And I guess one of the reasons it never happened was supposedly due to a 1993 box office flop that we have yet to cover, but we'll get to it. And I haven't listened to Arnold on Cohen's podcast yet, but I think they talk about it on there as well.
Yeah,
did you listen to that?
They talk about it a little bit.
Okay,
I mean, there was way more in depth when they did like he did like a whole series of mini podcasts where him and Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon and Robert Smigel talk about the movie.
Okay,
but him and Arnold definitely do talk about it a little bit. Arnold sounds very excited about it when he's talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah. But we'll save that. Like we'll get into that when we do Last Action Hero because we have a lot to get through for this. Plus, you got to save some stuff for that. Anyway, speaking of, I guess there was one more film that went unmade as well because of Last Action Hero. So it was titled Crusade and was a medieval epic that was supposed to be directed by Paul Verhoeven.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So we'll get into that a bit when we do Last Action Hero as well. But basically, it ended up being like the budget went crazy.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, next up, 1996. James Cameron announces that the next film he'll direct after Titanic will be one that he wrote himself titled Project 880. This will eventually turn into Avatar.
Oh.
He was also set to write and produce a new Planet of the Apes movie at the time as well. So this is when that pops up. And, okay, so a couple more things which are going to bring us back to where we started. But first one is in 1998. With James Cameron backing out of the Planet of the Apes, which at this point Arnold was attached, which at one point Arnold was attached to star as Taylor, which was the character played by Charlton Heston in the original movie. Get your damn dirty hands off me! You got them apes! Which, I don't know. I was like, no. I mean,
you maniacs!
Yeah, Charlton Heston already
you blew it up.
A whole lot of subtlety in that. So it's not exactly a subtle.
I was wrong. It was Earth all along. They finally made a monkey. Pretty sure that's in the movie.
That is in the movie, yeah.
Yep, that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
How do we get that without Heston?
Yeah. Oh my God. God, that would have been amazing.
But apparently Cameron left because he decided that he only wants to work on original projects that he created, not other people's ideas, which he's definitely stuck to for better or worse, I guess. I don't know, for okay-ish. Anyway, and then the last one is an Arnold one that took place around 1997, 1998 when he was attached to star in Ridley Scott's I Am Legend.
Ooh.
So apparently pre-production begun on this, but eventually the movie fell apart, supposedly due to a ballooning budget, as well as both Arnold and Ridley Scott's last few movies not performing very well at the box office. Although that's not the reason that Arnold gives in his book, saying it was actually due to his recent heart surgery. And I want to read a quote from the book real fast because he fires off a list of movies he never made. And some of them I was like, holy shit, he was attached to that? Okay, so while discussing the fallout that resulted from his 1997 heart surgery, he says, quote, I did experience the wonderful physical rebound that often results from a heart repair. I felt as vigorous as Hercules, ready to leap back into work. This guy's always on. He's always on.
Yeah.
In July, I was already traveling around the world promoting Batman and Robin. And as usual, I had projects at various stages of development with roles that interested me. First one he says is, With Wings as Eagles was a film in which I would have played a German officer in the closing months of World War II who ignores orders to kill Allied POWs and saves them instead. Which sounds interesting. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of war movies, but I don't think that one was made.
No, I don't. I mean, the closest I can think of is Valkyrie, that Tom Cruise movie. But that's about killing Hitler, not saving POWs.
Which just would have been even better. Like, Valkyrie with Arnold Schwarzenegger would have been so much better, too. Now I'm like, man, so many movies you insert him in there.
And he would have been the only one with a Germanish accent, wouldn't he?
Yeah, because they do the same thing that they do in, like, I don't know, which I just watched that recently, and where they kind of transition over to where, like, okay, they're actually speaking German, but they're speaking English. And then everyone's got a random accent, which was strange because Anyway, okay, so he continues listing off projects, like unmade projects, saying, quote, Minority Report was envisioned as a sequel to Total Recall, with a script by the same writer.
What?
I would have played the detective role that eventually went to Tom Cruise. In Noble Father, I would have played a widowed cop trying to raise 3 daughters and fight crime.
Well, that one, they wasn't allowed.
That's a tragedy.
What?
That wasn't allowed because there would have been more than one kid.
Yeah, some executive was like, whoa, we can't do this.
Whoa.
3 kids? No.
Wait.
How about 3 wives and 1 dead
You want us to kill 2 of your daughters on screen? Oh, God.
He continues by saying there was a proposed movie version of SWAT, 1970s TV action series, a movie called Crossbow, which SWAT they definitely
they made. It was Colin Farrell, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. A movie called Crossbow based on the legend of William Tell. Wasn't that the guy that shot the apple off?
Exactly. I don't know anything about it except that he shot an apple off a guy's head and there's an overture named after him. I have no idea. I don't know the rest of the story.
No, is that the Long Range song?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
Which is a weird movie to make. Just make it a dramatic action movie. Then there's like the apple flying or the arrow flying slowly towards the apple, where he's
also, I just have a hard time picturing Arnold in like a Victorian era, like he's got the wig on and shit. I don't know. That just is like. I don't even know when it takes place. I'm just making shit up.
Like Hans Gruber, like with a gun to like the guy's head that has the apple. No, you shoot the apple off his head, like, and then Arnold's like, no, I cannot do it. And he's like, shoot the apple off his head, or I shoot his head. And then he's like, shh, and then that's like the trailer's like, and it's headed towards like
it's fucking Carl Winslow with an apple in his head. Yeah.
Anyway. And then he continues, he says, and Pathfinder, about a Viking orphan raised by Native Americans at the time of the first European explorations of North America, which was, I think they made with Carl Urban, right?
They made that movie. Yeah.
Didn't watch it, but no, I know they made it. But Minority Report I liked, and I'm kind of glad it wasn't made, that he wasn't the one that was in it, because I actually liked it. Like, I'm also curious if Spielberg still would have directed it if Arnold was attached to it for the lead role. Because that was Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise. I don't think so. Joe, did you watch that movie?
I've watched some of it a long time ago.
Okay, it's
I've heard it was good.
It's really good.
Okay, apparently it's really good.
Do you not like it that much? I think that movie's great.
I like it. It's a good. Actually, it is pretty good. Like, sorry. Thinking back on it. No, I'm thinking back on it. I'm like,
yeah, that's honestly probably one of my top 3 Spielberg movies. Minority Report. I think so.
Okay.
I know yours is Hook, and Jurassic Park, but you know.
No, well, The Terminal too.
Oh right, that's true. I forgot.
I want to see some.
Can't forget that powerhouse Tom Hanks performance.
Yeah, I want to see some Tom Hanks in an airport for 2 hours. That's what gets me going. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he then gets to I Am Legend, as well as throwing in a mention of Terminator 3, saying, quote, I didn't even notice at first that the studios were holding back. But when I started submitting stories and scripts I wanted to do, people were slow responding. I became aware that the studios seemed reluctant to commit really big money. Fox was backing away from the idea of Terminator 3. Warner Brothers put the brakes on I Am Legend, a post-apocalyptic vampire script that I was supposed to shoot that fall with Ridley Scott directing. He wanted a budget of $100 million, while Warner wanted to spend only $80 million. That was the reason the studio gave for pulling back anyway. The real reason was my heart surgery, end quote.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's weird.
I don't know what's true, but man, between Arnold's heart surgery and James Cameron spending like a gazillion dollars on Titanic, Fox was like, okay, there's no fucking way. Like it was very easy to justify like not going all in on both. First of all, the Terminator rights, like for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're like, oh, okay. But anyway, apologies, and back to Terminator 3. I do have a couple more of these unmade films sprinkled in as well, though. So, despite James Cameron seemingly out as director of Terminator 3, and Arnold insisting he won't do the film without Cameron, in 1999, the C2 crew decided to move forward and commission a script anyway. And not just the T3 script, but the script for Terminator 4 as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for the T3 script, the Terminator 3 script, they hired Teddy Serafian. I think is Serafian. Yeah, that sounds right. They hired Teddy Serafian, which was an interesting choice considering his filmography up to this point. He'd written 4 movies. The first of which, 1990's Solar Crisis, was apparently so bad that both he and the director, who was his father, used pseudonyms instead of their real names. So this was when you could still use Alan Smithy.
Yeah.
The director, his dad, was listed as Alan Smithy, and I think he took the name, what was it? It was like some cool ass name. Damn, I can't remember what it was called. Solar Crisis.
Max Powers?
No, it was like in that ballpark though.
Trent Steele?
Oh, sorry, Crispin Bolt.
Crispin Bolt?
Yeah. Teddy Serafian went as Crispin Bolt because the movie's bad. Apparently, he only did rewrites on that one, so you got to give him a pass on that.
Sure.
From there, he did 1994's The Road Killers, starring the Highlander himself, Christopher Lambert, which I didn't really look up, but yeah. Anyway, he followed that with Tank Girl in 1995, which is the only one that I've heard of, but I haven't seen that one.
I watched it a long time ago. It was all right. I don't know. It was just kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a comic.
Because I think the comics are like
it's a comic movie, but it's like a weird comic book, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like sci-fi dystopia. There's a lot of like punk imagery and stuff in there.
Yeah. Don't you remember that movie? It's like Lori Petty, like
yeah, yeah, and I'm pretty sure I saw it around the time it came out, but I remember nothing about it.
I think it was Malcolm McDowell was the bad guy. I can't remember who the bad guy was. Some old white dude.
As usual, always the bad guy. Some old white dude.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In movies and real life.
A name I never heard of. So, as I mentioned before, like you guys just know a bunch of old white guy actors.
Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell? I don't know.
What's he's?
Honestly,
you recognize him if you saw him.
Of course. Like I recognize like a lot of these people, but it's just weird, you guys.
He's fucking Clockwork Orange, right?
Yes, he's the main guy in Clockwork Orange. I'm just trying to think of when, because he's more recognizable when he's old.
Yeah, definitely. But
he was in The Phantom Menace.
I'm pretty sure that's Terrence Stamp.
All right, wait.
The Chancellor? The Supreme Chancellor?
Yeah, that's Malcolm McDowell, isn't it?
The guy who ain't got... No, I think that's Terrence Stamp.
Okay, so I'm mixing those two up, apparently. Now I want to know what Terrence Stamp looks like.
That's General Zod, right?
Okay, yep. Okay, Malcolm McDowell. Wait, Malcolm McDowell when he's old, then what is he in?
I mean, look, I'm not going to say they don't look alike.
Exactly
they super look alike. They super look alike.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm just saying that's definitely not him in Phantom Menace.
Yeah, no, that is Terrence Stamp. Okay,
yeah, he's in Fallout 3.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, he does a voice, and it's a video game, so.
Okay, so...
Sorry.
And then, so then Teddy Serafian's last credit before Terminator 3 was a TV movie called Tidal Wave No Escape in 1997.
Got it. That is such a weird...
Exactly. Those are the kind of credits you want to see when you want to hire someone to replace James Cameron. Like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah. Oh my god. He didn't write like any TV shows or anything like that? Like
no, he had 4 credits before. 4 credits.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But Teddy Serafian was only commissioned to do the T3 script. To write the T4 script, they brought in David C. Wilson, who only had 2 credits at that point. One of which was a pretty notorious sci-fi film in the mid-90s called Supernova. And wouldn't you know, Supernova was also so bad that the director ended up using a pseudonym as well. Because apparently that was like Mario Casar and Andy Vagina's one requirement for a writer. It's like, can you guys write a movie so bad? Like, okay, funnily enough, the director that removed his name from Supernova was actually our friend Walter Hill. Which, if you're writing a movie so bad, I don't know. Walter Hill, like, he also had problems. Walter Hill just has problems on, like, every single, like, past, like, Red Heat, apparently, just a bunch of problems. Like, when I was looking up his stuff, just a bunch of problems on every single movie past that. But yeah, he had problems with a bunch of problems with that movie, too. Just an amazing, cantankerous old fella. Anyway.
How much did the dudes buy the rights for? How much did C2 buy the rights for? Was it like 8 million?
They bought half of them for 8 million, and then I can't remember what they bought. I think they bought Galen Hurds for 8 million too. I think I can't.
It kind of feels like they were just like, it kind of feels like they were just like, we spend enough money on this franchise. Let's just get the cheapest writers we can find. Like, I don't know how the fuck else you explain the choice of writers.
Teddy Serafian was also, this meant, I know the name, but it doesn't mean much to me because I don't know enough about it. But he was also Robert Altman's like nephew or something like that too.
Oh, okay.
Which again, like once I look up his movies, I'm like, oh yeah, Robert Altman made all those fucking awesome ass movies. But now I'm like, yeah, I know who Robert Altman is. Anyway, I know he's a person. I know he's a director. That was good.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, so back to Teddy Serafian's T3 script, and from what I read, isn't even close to what we ended up getting on screen, which makes sense because it was completely rewritten once director Jonathan Mostow signed onto the movie like about a year later. By the way, for anyone who's curious, the script is actually available online. Although I was too lazy to read it, so I asked you guys to read it, and I have some questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. First off, how did you guys like it?
It was all right. It was like the script I read was not way, way different from T3. There were certainly some differences. I think I would have preferred to see this movie more than what we got, but otherwise, like it wasn't. Yeah, I just don't feel like it was way, way different.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do, but I think this might have been the first script I've ever read, and I didn't realize they were written like that.
Wait, how do you mean? Sorry.
Where it's like, next thing you know, he punches them. Plow!
like
shit like that.
Like the 1960s Batman.
like a 60s Batman
I don't know if all scripts are written this way, because there's some lines in this script where I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you put that in the script? Like that? That's just personal commentary that no one's ever going to see except for the people reading this script. Like that's not going to end up on screen.
Like what?
Like goes into a little bit too much detail about how hot the T1 the Lady Terminator is.
Yeah.
Like not like pervy detail quite, but just like spends a weird amount of sentences
like your
like
perfectly sculpted legs.
Yeah,
and shit.
like it was so weird. What else? I'm trying to remember. I'll look through it right now and see if I can find another example. But like shit that just is not going to end up on screen or in any way.
Yeah, where like someone else might mention like it's a like they'd say like a type of actress, like a Jessica Alba type, or like someone like that. And instead he described it, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fucking
and
weird.
he describes Arnold also, but
that's true.
In the same way.
Kind of in the same way. So it seems like he's trying to go for equality, but I feel like he wrote the Lady Terminator part, and then he was like, man, this is going to seem weird if I don't go into the same amount of detail about Arnold.
Yeah, his chiseled physique and all this shit.
Exactly.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so Chris, you mentioned you had a quick rundown of like differences from what ends up.
Yeah, so I just took a few notes about. I have like stuff that was different, stuff that I thought was better, and stuff that I thought it was worse.
Okay.
So the biggest differences from the actual T3 that we got was Sarah Connor is in most of the movie. She is not dead before the movie even starts.
Does she die partway through?
She does die at the end, yes.
Okay.
She dies at the end, yeah.
Spoilers.
Sorry. They do the Arnold villain like fake out. Like they try to make you think that Arnold is the bad Terminator again.
Oh, like from T2? Like what they were doing.
Yeah,
in
but
T2.
like more. like more than that. They draw it out a little further. They make you think that the Lady Terminator is good and the one sent back to protect him, and like they actively try to trick you into thinking that.
Okay.
The Lady Terminator, instead of being the TX, is the T1G. Instead of just being like,
what's the G? Did they say what the G stands for?
Not really. I don't think they ever. Maybe they do somewhere in the script and I just missed it, but I don't think they ever actually tell you what each individual letter stands for.
Okay.
Instead of being liquid metal over just a regular Terminator skeleton, she's made of sentient frequency matter, which is a phrase that doesn't mean anything, but just is an excuse for them. It's an excuse for them to explain how she does what she does, and also it's an excuse for how they take her out at the end.
Wait, what? So what is she?
What it means is that she can break herself up into basically billions of little like nanobots and turn into this like, they call it a static energy field where you can't touch her basically. She can't hurt you, but you can't like fight her at all. She just turns into a cloud of little nanobots.
What is that? That's like from that's like the Matrix. Like the second Matrix.
The second Matrix? Oh, like
yeah,
the ghosts?
where the ghosts like where they disappear and they go around like
yeah, kind of. So she can like go through, she can like phase through stuff and like stuff like that. She's got like camouflage and she can emote, which is like a weird change that they make in this movie.
Something that they also seem like they kind of try to incorporate without explaining it.
But they do it a lot more in this movie, where she's like she has quite a bit more dialogue in this movie.
Okay, at least
at the beginning of the movie. Let's see. John Connor is a tech bro instead of a dirtbag burnout.
I did read that. He's not a burnout. He's just staying under the radar. Okay.
He's a fucking burnout.
No,
he can't even finish his beer. He drops it in the fucking river.
Well, he would have finished his beer, but the heroin was starting to kick in. Okay, he's not a burnout. He's not a burnout. He's just under the radar.
He's just hitting up former girlfriends for drugs for dogs.
He didn't know. That'd be great if he knew that she worked there. He's like,
that would be fantastic.
Kate Brewster. Oh yeah, okay, cool. She got a boyfriend. He's like, the deleted scene was him and looking in the window. She got a fucking boyfriend. Ugh. I'm going
to the romance subplot was mostly removed. Like he's got a girlfriend at the beginning of the movie, but they get rid of that shit. And
so basically, Sarah Connor is
she would replace Kate,
the third character.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. And then the ending is significantly different. So it ends with like the nuclear missiles all being launched by Skynet, but they beat Skynet while all the missiles are in the air. So all the missiles like fall on their intended target, but don't detonate.
Yeah, except for San Francisco, we get
always San Francisco.
Blown up.
Yeah, so halfway through the movie, Skynet blows up San Francisco just because it can't. Like it says it blows up San Francisco as to convince the government that it's not fucking around.
Or I wasn't it so the Americans would think it was the Russians and they would
there might have been something about that. I don't know. It was a little more complicated than.
Wait, so was this like explained like through like Skynet having dialogue with someone else, or is this in the script where it was like okay, like it
Which
like
part?
It was like the reason for them blowing up San Francisco?
So unless you know for sure, Chris, what I think happened was, so John Connor is not John Connor. He's like John Conway or some shit.
Kaplan, I think, or some shit like that.
Yeah. It's like, dude, just change it to fucking Steve. Like, come on,
that
dude.
would be great if it was the other spelling of Connor.
Yeah. It's like totally under the radar. Easy money.
Why are you always saying that?
What? And what does your dirtbag friend hang around you?
Redheaded kid from.
Is that my friend Todd? Still got that mullet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's like owns his own like hacker business or whatever, white hat hackers, but keeps an eye on Cyberdyne, and then one of the dudes who, because they had to add this in, he was like a fat nerd. glasses.
Yeah. Yes, again, weirdly descriptive of how much of a loser he is.
Yeah, as descriptive as they are with the TX. They're just as,
Heard your great gams.
wait, so John Connor's a fat nerd? Or
No. His
a dude
business
that works
partner.
for him.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, John's been keeping an eye on Cyberdyne to make sure they're not building Skynet, and they never are. Then John's like, "Hey, man, I got a feeling like hack harder, bro."
Yeah, it was after his
like,
mom called him and was like,
Yeah.
the fucking Terminators are back, or why aren't you more like me?
Weren't you hacking harder?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the guy hacks harder and then finds out that they were secretly building Skynet. So I think that's where he got the logs or whatever is going to happen.
Yeah, something like that. There was also a part where Skynet deep fakes as a White House cabinet member and talks to the president. So I think part of it was explained during that.
Or maybe just Arnold explained it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible too, because he was Arnold also a couple times just tells you what happened from his future perspective.
Okay. So, Joe, is there a reason that everyone always wants to destroy San Francisco? What's wrong with your town?
Yeah, what's wrong with your godless town?
Yeah.
I think it's just an easy, because doing it to LA is so big,
Plus, there's no
and you're
landmarks
filming
in LA.
California.
Yeah, exactly.
I blew up a fucking park.
The Hollywood sign.
I was thinking about LA as a park. Yeah,
No
it's
one's
like the Hollywood
blowing
sign.
up the Hollywood sign. You're like, hey, fuck yeah, fuck yeah.
Or
God
Staples Center or something.
Yeah.
But San Francisco, it's California. It's easily visible, so you know where it is, and it's only 49 square miles, so it's easy to blow up. And you legally have to show a cable car when you're doing it. So
Golden Gate Bridge.
Someone should just combine the two and show a cable car going across the Golden Gate Bridge for some reason. And just blow it up.
That'd be so great. That'd be perfect.
yeah, no one ever blows up fucking Oakland or San Jose or something, fuck.
Trying to specifically blow up Oakland. Anyway.
Blowing up Sacktown.
Okay, so a couple the other questions were, Kate wasn't in it then or no?
Nope, there was no Kate.
Okay, because one of the articles I read said that Kate was originally part of the military. So I don't know where that came from.
In this script, his fiance, I think, or at least his girlfriend, is named Anna, and you don't get too much information about her beyond that. She gets terminated pretty early in the movie.
So basically, she got Scott Peterson from the movie that we got.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly.
Did he describe how hot she was?
I don't think so.
Wow. Okay. No. Well, if he's not going to even describe her glutes, then she's just going to die super quick.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's how you can tell.
I also read that Lance Hendrickson's character from Terminator 1 was brought back, but I'm not sure if it was originally in this script or if it was in the next one that they do. And that was Detective Vukovic, which is his name in the... I don't know which one it was in, though. So it might have been in Jonathan,
I don't even remember.
The one they write later. But he was in a wheelchair, apparently, because he got shot. Which, again, Joe, didn't he... Because I haven't seen that movie in forever, but didn't he get, everyone in that fucking police station died, it seems like. So... I
don't know if they showed him dying or
I think they showed him getting shot, because I was reading about it, and they showed him getting shot, but they didn't show him, actually, or they might have shown him, moving around a little bit after that.
Just the last couple things. I think the things that make me want to kind of see this movie more than the one we got was just Sarah's in the whole movie, which I don't know. Linda Hamilton probably would have made this better. The T1G, it feels just a little more creative than the TX. Just seems like the action scenes were a little bit better.
Could it go invisible like it said, what I read?
It had camouflage.
Okay.
Where it could project whatever was directly behind it, so it was basically invisible.
Okay.
And then there was a sweet scene towards the end with with prototype hunter killer drones where they get to fly them around and shoot the Terminator and stuff.
Kind of like the Like what we saw in the final movie?
Oh no! Like big hunter killer drones. Like they ride inside them.
Oh,
you get to go
okay.
inside them, and then they're like big. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the stuff that was worse was like Arnold or the Terminator was just like weirdly jokey and snarky the whole time.
That is also what I read too. Yeah, was they went over the top with him with his
Yeah,
jokes.
It was definitely over the top. I think I was talking to you about this the other day. I feel like Arnold probably would not have let them do that.
Yeah,
like
he
Arnold
would've cut
probably would
back
have put the kibosh on some of that stuff.
Yeah,
because he
knows that
understands
character.
enough.
Yeah.
And I think they did mention that John taught him a lot of shit before he sent him back in time. So
They did. I still think the jokes were like bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like literally when he dies, it says he smiles sarcastically. Which I don't. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Hey, like he does the wink in the gun, like.
Yeah. But anyway.
Any other thoughts as far like any other comments or anything as far as that script?
I did like the quote unquote twist of like, who's the good Terminator, who's the bad Terminator,
Yeah.
Well, sorry, how far into it did that happen? Like, was it?
It was like halfway through or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was probably like the very end of the first act where the turnaround happens,
Huh.
where she betrays him and starts trying to kill him.
Because what John did is what ended up getting Skynet online.
Yeah, he inadvertently allows Skynet into like all the government shit.
And Arnold's trying to kill him.
Not kill him, but like injure him and stop him.
Gotcha. So, like the whole time, he's just trying to stop John from like starting Skynet,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, but it is convincing because he's shooting at them at the beginning. Like he's
Gotcha.
actively shooting at them and like really chasing them down and being violent. So like you really think he's the bad guy at the beginning of the movie.
Gotcha.
And I would say probably the only thing that Rise of the Machines has over this is just the ending.
Yeah.
The ending of this is very much the ending of like the first movie where it's just like John is, I get it now. I'm going to be a badass like my mom was. And he's riding a dirt bike on a mountain in California.
It's his old dirt bike back.
Yeah.
He's got his old dirt bike. He just
Oh,
pulls the tarp off of it. He's like, you ready, old girl?
All right, you turned me around. I like this ending better.
I got
but
my
yeah.
steed. Rode off into the sunset.
But that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, apparently it was good enough for Arnold because this is the script that he signed on to the movie after reading, which we'll get to in a second. But a few other things happened in 2000 worth mentioning. First off, Mario Casar announced in March that they were planning to shoot T3 and T4, not T-Thor, which might have been pretty good.
Yeah.
T3 and T4 back to back, a la Lord of the Rings, which was eventually abandoned once director Jonathan Mostow came aboard a year later. And then in April of 2000, Arnold tells Sci-Fi Wire that he has a new movie in the works called Doc Savage, Man of Bronze, which is based on a series of novels and comics of the same name. Yeah. Which I didn't look those up, but I feel like they're like an Indiana Jones type of thing to where it's like a adventure serial sort of thing.
Yeah. This
This was apparently being produced by both Chuck Russell, who directed Arnold and Eraser, and Frank Darabont.
Ooh.
And am I wrong, or weren't we talking about Frank Darabont? Like, wasn't he supposed to do like a different? I feel like we were talking about him like back.
Yeah, was Arnold supposed to be in a Stephen King thing that Darabont was going to do?
Was it just Frank Darabont talking about or was he like attached to like the Running Man at one point, like doing a new one or something like that? Or I can't remember. Like I know we were talking about it at one point, but I don't remember what it was about. Okay. Anyway, in this same April 2000 interview, Arnold also mentions that he is not interested in doing another Terminator film without his pal Jimmy C, saying, quote, "I have not been approached because there's no script, so until I see a script, I cannot comment on it." I think they pushed him a little further and they like kept questioning about it because he then says, quote, "There is nothing here. There is no financing for it. There is no script for it. There is no director for it. There is nothing." End quote. Which I'm like, damn, what were you guys bugging him? Like, because he just sounds annoyed at that point. Like, I mean, I'm sure he's getting asked by, like around that time, he's getting asked about it a bunch of, because like they just like, just got the rights for, like Mario Casar and Andrew Vashna just got the rights for it, but like he just like seems like, just leave me alone about it.
I like to think he delivered that particular answer with the guy's collar in his hand and really close to his face, really softly.
There's nothing here.
There's
like something it sounds like something out of Kindergarten Cop for some reason. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
Exactly.
There's nothing here. There's no financing. There's no script for it. There's no director. There's nothing. Get your flabby ass out of here. Also, good for him for standing his ground as far as refusing to do Terminator film without James Cameron. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
June 2000, Arnold signs on to do Terminator 3.
Yeah, I'm sure he talked to him about it.
He did. With this particular thing, he said that James Cameron gave him approval. And there was a quote where it says, like, just ask for a shitload of money. And with that, we've managed to cover at least one of the topics I've teased twice during the last 2 episodes. But we're out of time, so I'm sorry to say that you jabronicusses are going to have to wait one final week to find out why some of the cast didn't return and the famous actor stuff. Although at this point, I'm sure you're probably just better off doing a quick Google search. We're really going to wait? Come on.
Yeah. Man,
please wait.
You guys are going to know so much about Terminator 3, arguably the worst movie in the franchise. It's going to be great. Arguably.
But arguably. What we have left isn't going to be any worse than this.
Oh, yeah, definitely not.
Unless you count Salvation, which I remember liking. So,
yeah, that's one of the ones I've never seen. So,
okay. Well, granted, my bar is very low. So after Terminator 3, you're just like, well,
yeah, that's true.
And it's got Christian Bale in it, like, and
he yelled at some guy.
Yeah. Good for him. I don't remember why. I'm sure it was justified, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You're yelling at the crew is always justified.
Yep.
This is a joke, by the way. It's only justified when they get in your way or they look you in the eye.
Yeah, exactly. We respect all Teamsters.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, we will be back and we will finish the productions. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna finish most of the production stuff. We're not gonna finish. We'll probably end up the next episode is probably gonna end up taking the rest of the info, but the promo stuff, like the videos and whatnot, it's gotta be another episode.
That'll be another episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is gonna be our longest episode, apparently.
Yeah.
But I guess. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's it. Just make sure you tune in next week. And then the week after that, and then possibly another week after that. But, just keep downloading the episodes. And, I guess.
All right, cool.
Anyway, I guess there's just the thing we say.
Yeah,
we should say it.
We don't say anything. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think you're thinking of something else.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
cut it off.
Kabloo! That's the thing.
Sie at the Party Richter!
If you enjoy our show, please consider giving us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Potty Richter to make sure you never miss an episode. See You at the Potty Richter is a production of Tape Deck Media. Follow Tape Deck on Instagram at tapedeck_media or look us up on Facebook for more hilarious podcasts.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.